The Atlanta Braves are welcoming in the slumping Philadelphia Phillies for a 3-game set this weekend, and we brought in a very special guest to preview the matchup. Welcome on into Braves Today, a production of the Belief Podcast Network presented to you by FanDuel. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, founder of the Braves Today newsletter over bravestoday.com, your daily newsletter on the Atlanta Braves. Excited to be joined by Ryan Spilborghs, part of the broadcast team for tonight's Braves-Phillies matchup on Apple TV at 7:15. Spilly, thanks for joining the show. And now you can join CJ as the other half of Loud Outs to be on Braves Today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, funny, CJ and I, we have known each other because we've been doing this show on SiriusXM since, 2017. So, I knew CJ as the Texas Rangers analyst at first, and then when he came over to Atlanta. So it's cool for me because we've grown really close in the last couple of years. I mean, we're part of some fun text chains, and obviously doing our show almost every day on Zoom. You get to really know each other. So CJ has me dialed in on the Braves.
Good. You're the perfect person to come on the show and preview tonight's matchup. Before we get into the specifics of the matchup, I do want to ask, Braves right now have the most wins with 18, the best run differential in baseball, and they're the only team to still have not lost a series. Does it feel from the outside like the Braves should be in that tier with the Dodgers for best team in baseball, or is LA kind of still in a class of its own just based on how the season's ended the last 2 years?
No, it's a good question. I mean, I don't know which national media people have dismissed the Braves. I'm not sure who those are because I know it wasn't me. This offseason, when we were putting our favorite National League teams together, clearly you have the Dodgers. We know that. I mean, you can't not respect the team, and I see this team a lot being on the West Coast and doing postseason runs for the last, 7 years that I've been doing radio. They're a really well-run organization, the Braves are, and we knew it. And we also knew, when we started seeing some videos of Acuna in the offseason, we're like, okay, because a season ago, I kept waiting for the Braves to go on the run, but they were hurt, nonstop getting hurt. And so when we thought about, especially with CJ, watching it, with Drake Baldwin having another young stud, what we saw last year with some of the young starters, they've always been a favorite of ours. We felt like Philadelphia was getting older. We weren't sure about the Mets. We weren't sure about Milwaukee. Can they sustain it? So the Braves have been in right up there with the Dodgers for years for me, just because we felt the talent has always been there. They just have to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that's been last 2 years it eluded them. Even this year a little bit. The health has eluded them, but they've made it work despite the early injuries. And one of the things that we've attributed some of the success to is the change in manager. Brian Snitker was a great manager. We love Brian Snitker. He's going to the Braves Hall of Fame this weekend. Walt Weiss seems to have brought on a more aggressive mentality to the roster and to the way the game is managed from decision to decision. Your time in the league and broadcasting, how much does that manager's mindset and mannerisms rub off on the way the guys in the dugout play the game?
So I've known Walt for close to 20 years. He was a special assistant in the Rockies when I was there. When he was coaching high school baseball before he went to coach the Colorado Rockies, he was coaching at where my kids go to school. So I've known Walt for a long, long time.
Yeah.
His mentality is different, man. When he retired from baseball, he got into jiu-jitsu and UFC and training and all this stuff. And so, as a player, I would watch him coming into the doors, and he was, starting to get cauliflower ears, and he has an edge that's totally different. Walt has always been completely different. I like this offseason when, Braves kept it close to the vest on who they were going to possibly hire. I have a great deal of respect for Brian Snitker. I'm excited for him to go into the Hall of Fame. That's amazing. But Walt carries that kind of tradition of in a way of internally Braves managers But what Walt brings is like, yeah, he still has the understanding of like what Snicker did and what Bobby Cox did, and even like Freddie Gonzalez before that, before Snit. Like Walt's the Braves guy. He understands it, but he brings this edge that is like it's for real. The players know, like, hey man, like this guy will mess you up. This guy, it doesn't take, anything. He just doesn't take it. You can go for years and look at what happens when there's any sort of like kerfluffle in the yard, like Walt's in the middle of it, breaking it up.
Yep.
That's just a different energy, and Walt's always had that.
Yep. Okay, so when it comes to Philly in this matchup tonight, Andrew Painter gets the ball for the Phillies. This has been kind of a rotation in flux. Zach Wheeler doesn't come back until tomorrow. Aaron Nola struggled. Taijuan Walker got released. How important is it for Andrew Painter to come out tonight and set the tone for this series with a strong start in a rematch of a series where Philly got swept?
That'd be really nice. I mean, if you're ever in a losing streak or bad play, like starters really help out. But ultimately, for me, like for the Phillies need to start hitting. I mean, like they scored 7 yesterday, but it was a pretty windy day in Chicago, and their batting averages with runners in scoring position, the overall lack of on base percentage in their lineup it's been a tough time for them. So I mean, yes, it'd be great if Andrew Painter, if you're a Phillies fan, shoves and gives you 8 innings like we saw Cam Schlittler do the other day, or JR yesterday, right? Like a start like that would be fantastic. But ultimately, like the Phillies bats have to get going.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the conversation with their offense has been it's built around a core that is 1 year older, and for the most part, they're all making more money than they were making. Schwarber re-signed for more. Can the Phillies still make a run with the guys that they have, or is this something where they've got to find more reinforcements from outside, and it's going to require maybe moving on from some guys like an Alec Bohm or a Bryson Stott to get more impactful bats in there to support Harper and Schwarber and Turner?
Yeah, I mean the fact that you have Harper, Schwarber, and Turner, and they're actually not playing horrible, like they're not doing that bad. It really has been Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott, and Adolis Garcia hasn't been great so far. Like the lineup is not just three people; it's supposed to work as a unit. Like that, there's more than three guys that got to get going. I mean, Schwarber already has eight homers this year. Like Harper is swinging the bat just fine. I mean, like a lot of players in the league would give a lot to have like an 800 OPS and 5 homers right now. And you're going to see Trey Turner is going to hit eventually. But for me, it's Bohm has been a big time struggle. He was somebody that was probably a non-tender candidate in the offseason, and he's dealing with more stuff off the field this year.
Yeah.
You feel for him. That's a hard place to be. Most people don't understand. Like stuff off the field really impacts a player on the field. But like Bryson Stott, his bat speed, he's never had great bat speed, but like he's just not finding any holes. So for me, it's what do the Phillies do? Do they have a young player that they can call up? They do in Aiden Miller, but he's hurt. So like they don't have that spark. We were saying, CJ and I were talking about this the other day, like with Pittsburgh, you call up a Connor Griffin. With Detroit, you had Kevin McGonigal. With St. Louis, you had a JJ Weatherholt. I get it. Philly has Justin Crawford, but that's not the impact that you're looking for, and they just won't get that. They won't have it anytime soon. So they have to really trust the people that are already there.
Yeah, getting Stott better than a 42 WRC plus and Bohm is a 23. I think that's definitely probably the biggest glaring red flag with the lineup. Two quick questions for you real quick. One, you have a 2-homer game against the Atlanta Braves in your career. Do you remember who you hit those home runs off of?
Yeah. Why would I forget it? Chuck James.
Yeah. Chuck James in a 2-homer game. You guys lost that game 6-5. How frustrating is that as a player to have an amazing offensive game like that for you and the team loses? Frustrating for me, not at all. I mean, I don't care if I do well. Like I want the team to win. Like if I had 2 homers
and we lose, that doesn't matter. Like, we lost. So I I love having great games. I
Mhm.
also love when I had a bad game, we won. So like, I ultimately, all I cared about was winning. Like, that's all I cared about. And if I run into a couple homers and we won, then you get to hear about it.
Yeah. A final question for you here. The World Baseball Classic. I know you did a lot of work for there in Houston and Miami with Mike Farron for Team USA, for the Pool B, things like that. What was that experience like covering the tournament? And do you agree with people who think we need to do it more often than every 3 years?
Let's start there. I don't think so. I don't think you can do this every single year. And I think once every 3 years kind of gives it that Olympics feel.
Mhm.
I mean, it's turned into a fantastic tournament. So you kind of don't want to mess with it. I mean, there's more fans. I think there's 1.5 million fans that watch games throughout the world. And like, I'll give you an example. When Italy played, I believe it was Canada, like on a Saturday morning, it became prime time. It was the first time baseball was shown with Team Italy in Italy. It was on 70% of the households. And
Mhm.
because Italy went that far in this tournament, I believe their Italian federation received close to $1 million. So, like, it's super impactful, not just from what we see, but what the money goes to some of these programs that didn't have money or didn't have attention. So maybe we'll get another like Sam Aldergary was the first Italian born pitcher to pitch in the WBC, like, and pitch in the big leagues. So maybe there's a future Italian born player because of the WBC. We saw it with Great Britain. Like, Great Britain had like $0, and when they won a game 3 years ago, they ended up getting like some money to help them put a field together. So it only gets bigger and bigger for them. That's why I love it so much. Is like, the baseball enthusiast in me, like, we are not seeing the impact that tournament has because you're not recognizing what it does to other countries and
Yeah.
what that money means to the federations.
Yeah, there's high level baseball, in a lot of places around the world, but obviously, but we have less to gain and they have more to gain from a tournament like this. And I'm glad that we're spreading that joy of baseball that we all enjoy out to other countries. Spilly, thank you for your time. Again, Spilly's on the call tonight with Alex Foss and Trisha Whitaker as sideline reporter. Braves and Phillies at 7:15 on Apple TV. Have a great call tonight. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Special thanks again to Spilly. That was super cool for joining the show and talking a little bit about tonight's matchup, Andrew Painter versus Grant Holmes, Braves Phillies on Apple TV. I want to look at the other two games of this series, right? We saw Andrew Painter last week. We know who he is and we've seen what he does. And I'm curious to see how he'll adjust for tonight. But Saturday is Zach Wheeler making his season debut versus Bryce Elder. And Sunday will be only the second time the Braves have seen Aaron Nola since 2024. Let's talk about these two guys. And for Zach Wheeler, what's really interesting here is his rehab starts went in an odd order. When you look at what he did for rehab, he started off in AAA. His first three rehab starts, were in AAA, and then he moved down to AA. I haven't really seen an explanation as to why they did this. And none of these rehab starts went that great. His first start for AAA was his best one. 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts through 38 pitches. Then he pushed to 50 pitches, went on the road at Durham, which is Tampa Bay Rays affiliate. 3 innings, 5 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Did give up a home run, hit 2 batters on like 50 pitches. Then he pushed to 60 pitches 5 days later against Rochester at home. 4 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And at that point, Philly moved him down from AAA to AA. Despite the fact that AA Reading, which is called the Fightin' Phils, just a funny name there. Despite the fact that AA Reading was on the road. So they sent the veteran on the road for 2 rehab starts in AA. I haven't quite seen the explanation as to why he went down to AA for 2 rehab starts, when you consider the fact that one of his 3 rehab starts in AAA was on the road. He went down to the Carolinas to face Durham. So not sure what that was. Part of me wonders, the conspiracy theorist part of me wonders, was this to get him out of StatCast parks? His four-seam fastball last season, when he was one of the best pitchers in baseball, 2.71 ERA in 24 starts, averaged 95.9 miles an hour. That was his average. In these 3 AAA rehab starts, his fastest fastball has been 94.3. He's thrown fastballs as low as 90.8. Now we have to remember, this was his spring training. For those of you who don't remember what's going on here, Zach Wheeler had a blood clot situation late last year, and it ended up he needed thoracic outlet decompression surgery. Long story short, the thoracic outlets between your collarbone and your first rib, and there's nerves, arteries, and veins that run through there. And when it's compressed, you have different symptoms depending on if the compression's happening mostly to the nerve or the vein or the artery. But they had to have surgery to widen the thoracic outlet so that all of the, for lack of a better word, the tubing could flow through without restriction. And this is major surgery. Not every pitcher comes back from thoracic outlet and looks like the same guy. And so all we have to go off of is the first 3 starts that were in AAA, and then the public comments from manager Rob Thompson and other people about what Wheeler did in his other rehab starts. After the 4th rehab start, which was his first in AA, he allowed 3 runs on 4 hits and 5 2/3 at Somerset, striking out 9 with no walks. Somerset's Yankees AA affiliate. And I believe he actually faced Anthony Volpe, who was there on a rehab assignment. After that one, Rob Thompson talked to the media and said he was 92. He touched 95. Quote, that was good. He said he felt good after the outing. Somebody asked him if he started to run out of gas, and he said, no, I feel good even at the end. So all in all, a good outing. And we saw him in his last rehab start, which also came against Somerset the end of that week. It was like a Tuesday, Sunday thing. He was, I would argue, despite throwing, more pitches, he was actually kind of worse. He goes 4 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. And apparently there was a little bit of weather concerns here. It was a little bit colder and things like that. But still, it was, Thompson said, quote, the fastball velocity's gone up. It's not where it's going to be, I don't believe. The command has been some days good, some days not as good, but I'm expecting on a normal day, weather-wise, he's going to have his command. Philly said that Wheeler's probably going to be under a 90-pitch restriction on Saturday versus Bryce Elder. I really do think that as much as they need Zach Wheeler back, the Cy Young finalist, runner-up Zach Wheeler, I don't necessarily think he's going to be that guy yet. And so as of now, I don't actually have the official lines from Braves Today sponsor FanDuel. They have Friday's line. Braves are favored in Friday's game. I don't have Saturday's yet. But I still feel like the Braves are going to be favored at home with the offense that they've had against a definitely still limited and restricted and probably not yet in midseason form Zach Wheeler. Atlanta's still going to be favored because Philly's offense to date, knock on wood, has not given them what they need to support a struggling rotation. Jesus Luzardo has also not been himself. Aaron Nola has an ERA over 5. Taijuan Walker was released earlier this week. Somebody asked me if the Braves should pick him up. If it's a minor league deal, only because his best seasons in the majors came with the Mets under Jeremy Hefner. I'm not opposed to a minor league deal, but I don't think they'll do it because I think there's enough teams who are desperate for pitching help that they'll go out and grab him. So I don't see it happening. I don't see him signing with Atlanta simply because there are teams who probably would give him a major league spot and ask and hope he's back for a start. They need Zach Wheeler to be Zach Wheeler, and I don't think, knock on wood, he's going to be that guy yet. And after this series, you don't see Philly again until like September. So that'll be fun. Facing Aaron Nola in game 3, this is going to be really interesting. It's Aaron Nola versus Chris Sale. So Atlanta has the advantage there, obviously. You've only faced Aaron Nola once since 2024. He made 4 starts against the Braves in 2024. And it actually didn't go that well. His start in late March was 6 earned runs on 11 hits and 4 1/3. He got a win in July, 3 runs on 5 hits across 6 innings. Then he got 2 no decisions. It was 5 1/3 with 2 runs and 6 innings with 2 runs. And then last year in 2025, in August, 4 runs on 4 hits, 3 walks in 6 innings, but Philly won the game. So his last 5 starts against Atlanta, 5.53 ERA. But again, 4 of those are from 2024. When you look at who Aaron Nola is right now, he has a 5.06 ERA and a 1-2 record. And in his starts, he's made it 6 innings twice in his 5 starts. But the Cubs knocked him out in the 5th earlier this week. And the week before that, he came out after 5, throwing 80-something pitches. He's not been very good. And when you look at the StatCast card and everything else, his fastball velocity is down from where it was in 24. He was sitting mid 92s. I'm sorry, upper 92s in 24, 23, all those. Last year, 91.9. This year, 91.7. It's really hard to just look at batting average allowed on a specific pitch and draw a ton of conclusions because there's so many things that go into that, sample sizes, defense, and all of that. But I do think it's telling that even last year and this year both, if major league hitters get a hold of his four-seam fastball, it is being destroyed. 667 slugging percentage on his four-seamer this year. It gave up a 529 this year, or last year. He's already allowed 2 homers on the four-seamer. Of the 4 he's allowed, 2 on the four-seamer, 1 on the sinker, 1 on the knuckle curve. And one of the responses he's made is to cut back how often he throws the four-seamer. He's actually throwing his knuckle curve the exact same amount, 130 curves, 130 four-seamers, and then sinker, changeup, cutter. So all 3 fastballs, 1 breaking ball, one off-speed pitch for Nola. And the locations haven't been great, especially on the sinker. A lot of the sinkers are drifting middle of the plate, and he's getting rocked. I really like Atlanta in this series. And I'm not just saying that because I cover the Atlanta Braves. I'm saying that because when you look at where these teams are, you look at Atlanta's offense having been so good this week. The Braves were down in all 4 games to Washington, and they still won 3 of them. They came back to win 3 of them. And then you look at Phillies offense and just how bad Philadelphia has been from an offensive perspective. It's hard not to pick Atlanta to win the series. If not, I'm never going to pick a sweep. It's just so hard to beat any team 3 games in a row, especially when you just swept them last time out. I'm never going to pick a team to sweep, but this really does, knock on wood, feel like a 2-1 series win to me. Let me know what you think. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment down below. If you're listening on audio, I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can reach me that way. That'll do it for Braves today for Friday, April 24th. We'll be back with the scouting report later today. We'll get those in all weekend, and we'll be back with more episodes of the show on Monday, unless some sort of significant news happens over the weekend. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.